At Bill Harris Dealerships, we are proud to be distinctly different. Always guided by our core values, we are committed to providing you with a top-rate experience every time you step through one of our doors. Our service and sales teams are staffed with automotive experts who love providing meaningful service to everyone who visits one of our 3 dealerships. So whether you're looking for a brand new Chevy, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or something from our always changing used inventory, you can depend on Bill Harris Dealerships to always be there for you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Matt Miller.
Hey, good afternoon, Joe. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. And you know, I've got a lot of messages about Claremont Avenue.
Okay.
People really want to know,
yes,
is it true? Is it finally happening? And what's going to happen on Claremont Avenue?
This long-awaited project is finally underway. It just started on Monday of this week. And of course, earlier this past weekend, people saw all the cones lined up and down the sides of Claremont, but the project is now underway. Now, the key is, just as we all were very patient over the last several years as we waited for this project to get underway, now we have to be patient as we allow the contractor the space and the freedom to get the project done, hopefully by the month of November. That is when the work is expected to be complete, hopefully in late October. Now, the project just started this week. The first phase of the project will take place out by Bainey Road, out by the fairgrounds, and the first step is to replace the existing water line down the center of Claremont Avenue. This is actually a major project in and of itself, but it's one that we thought we needed to complete before we took the time to install new pavement on all 4 lanes of Claremont Avenue. Just for what it's worth, the repair, or the replacement, I guess it is, of that water line is almost $1 million in and of itself. The whole project, once it's all said and done, I'm sure there'll be a change order or 2, there seems to always be, but right now we're estimating it to be around $5.1 million for this project. So if you subtract $1 million for the water line, that leaves just under $4 million that'll be put into actually rebuilding, addressing foundational issues of Claremont Avenue, improving some of the drainage of that particular street in our city, adding new curbs, and of course the long-awaited new asphalt. Now, people have asked me, will traffic be maintained throughout the project? And absolutely it will be. All throughout the duration of the project, there will be 2 lanes of traffic. But that 2 lanes, of course, will shift back and forth depending on where the work is being done at any given moment. But you will be able to travel up and down Claremont Avenue, but we are asking motorists, of course, to be a little bit more careful, maybe drive a few miles per hour slower, because it's not as easy any longer while this work is taking place and you're in the traffic or in the construction zone for cars to get in and out of the many businesses that line this important 4-lane street in our city. But the work is underway. If anyone's paying attention, even though it is an expensive project, about $5.1 million, we did receive an ODOT grant for over $2 million for the project, and we also received an Ohio Public Works grant to the tune of $500,000. So nearly half the project is covered with grant money.
Are they still planning on, one of the questions was, are they still planning on replacing the sidewalks? How is that going to work out?
There will be various places along Claremont Avenue where improvements are made. I can't say that they're going to replace the sidewalks all up and down that corridor, because that's not the case, but there are going to be places where issues need to be addressed where you will likely see some of those improvements. But I'm convinced we'll be very pleased once it's complete.
And one other quick question, too, to follow up on the Claremont Avenue, is Eagle Gas Station.
Yes.
Is there an update for that?
Absolutely. We did contract with Buckeye Elm Construction, I believe it is. Buckeye Elm, I believe that's the name of the company, and they are planning to start the removal of the old gas station, the Eagle Gas Station at the corner of Claremont and Liberty, I believe the last week of May. We thought that they were going to start the week of the 20th, but I believe now it's delayed 1 week. So what will that project consist of? They will remove all the old fuel islands and also the underground tanks. And when it's finally complete, that corner then will be a paved parking lot.
Okay. And the next 2 questions I have is about increased rates.
Okay.
There seemed to be some concern about, maybe you can explain.
Absolutely.
The sanitation rates increase.
Absolutely. So at the last several city council meetings, we have discussed the fact that over the last several years, the cost of disposing of our residents' trash in the Richland County Noble Road landfill, Rumpke's landfill. They're the ones that we contract with. That is where all of our trash that's picked up on the curbs is taken and disposed of. Those rates that they charge the city to dispose of that trash in the Noble Road landfill have gone up by nearly 28% or more in the last few years. And as a result, that means the cost of the operation to the city has gone up substantially. Now add to that the rising costs of everything we do in this world today due to inflation, and we simply are in a place where we have got to adjust our sanitation or trash removal rates here in the city to cover our expenses. The city doesn't have to make a profit in our own sanitation department, but we do need to cover our expenses. And so with that in mind, we are looking to increase the sanitation rate that we all pay as part of our water bill by $2, and that will likely take place or go into effect in the month of July. So we've talked about it probably for the last 3 or 4 months at city council meetings, but now we have narrowed it down to $2. If you do the math real quick, you'll see that a 28% increase, that is still more substantial than our $2 increase. In other words, if we were going to try to make up that full 28% additional charge to the city by Rumpke, we would have to increase our rate by more than probably $4. But we have decided that we can get by with a $2 increase right now, so that's what I think will go into effect beginning in July.
And follow up on the electric aggregation program.
Yes.
I think that's important and people want to know.
We're getting lots of questions about this because everyone is seeing in the news where the cost of their electricity and their electric bills are going to go up substantially beginning in June. Now, the City of Ashland residents, or let me start by saying the City of Ashland is part of an electric aggregation program. And basically what that means is we as a city have authorized a program that allows the City of Ashland, the city government, to go out and negotiate a more competitive rate for all of our residents than what an individual resident would be able to negotiate on their own. In other words, because of the increased buying power that we have as a city, if we all go together and work together on this, we can usually negotiate a far smaller rate or lower rate than what you and I could if we just went straight to the electric suppliers and tried to negotiate on our own. That program is in effect here in the City of Ashland. And chances are, if you are a resident here and you have lived here for several years, you are already participating in this program. And I believe our kilowatt per hour rate is like 0.469 cents, somewhere in that neighborhood, 0.4 cents. Well, it is estimated that the cost of electricity per kilowatt hour is going to go up maybe 3 to 4 times that much in the month of June. So with that in mind, we are encouraging our residents, especially if you've recently moved into the City of Ashland, to take a look at your electric bill. And on that part of the electric bill where it breaks down what all the different charges are on your monthly bill, it should say somewhere in that section, Dynagy, D-Y-N-E-G-Y. They are the supplier of the electricity for our aggregation program, and they are the ones that we're getting the low rate from. If your bill says anything but Dynagy, I think someone said theirs said Energy Harbor, someone might have said theirs said Archer, I believe was a term I heard, or a company name I heard. If yours says anything but Dynagy, then I would encourage you to very quickly contact Dynagy. And if you need the phone number, you just call the mayor's office, we'll get it for you. You can call and tell them you want to join our aggregation program. Now, the reason you would do this is because if you don't, you're going to see a substantial increase in your electric bill here in just about a month and a half. Now, what I will say is this. All of our electric bills will likely go up sometime late this year, whether you're in our aggregation program or not in our aggregation program. But the point is, if you're in our program, it's going to go up far less than what it would if you're trying to negotiate a rate on your own. So the company that you're looking for, the name you're looking for on your electric bill is Dynagy, D-Y-N-E-G-Y. If your bill says you're getting your electric from Dynagy, then you have nothing you need to do. But if it says any other company, then you might want to call the city and we'll get you the numbers so you can get onto the city's aggregation program.
Well, thanks for clearing that up, because like I said, people were really confused.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't sure myself, so I'm like,
Yes.
that will be one of the questions I will check with the
Yes.
mayor. Let's jump to the wastewater treatment plant work.
Okay.
Is there an update on that?
Well, at our recent council meeting, the council took action to go to bid for the installation of a new water metering system at our wastewater treatment plant. And I don't want to bore everyone with this, but basically what it amounts to is this. At our wastewater treatment center, we have an equalization basin. In other words, an EQ basin. And basically this is a several million gallon tank that when the big rain events happen or storm water and wastewater make its way back to the wastewater treatment plant, if there's an excess amount of water all at one time, this tank would fill, and hopefully that would be enough to hold it until it was treated. Well, what we have found is over the last several years, as we're getting more and more of these, what do you call them, high intensity, short duration rains, in other words, when it rains a ton in just a short amount of time, we're getting so much water at one time that equalization basin can't handle all of that water, and so occasionally it will overflow. Now, when it does overflow, we have to immediately report it to the EPA. We have to keep them up to speed every time it happens. But during our last visit from the EPA, the Ohio EPA, they said that part of the conditions of them reissuing us a permit to operate our wastewater treatment plant, we would have to install a new water metering system. And basically what it is it's a system that will more closely monitor and measure how much water is overflowing from that EQ basin when these big rain events occur. So that is what you're asking about.
Right.
I think that the cost of that is somewhere in the neighborhood, expected to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $130,000 to do all the work that has to be done, to get all the equipment that has to be purchased to install this new water metering system and be in compliance with what the EPA wants us to do. So this is a project we really don't have a choice. We've got to do it, and so we took action in our last council meeting to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about DORA. I just want to touch base. I only had one question about that.
Yes.
If you could explain a little more in detail.
People may have heard the term DORA, D-O-R-A. DORA refers to Designated Outdoor Refreshment Area. And basically what a designated outdoor refreshment area is it's a certain place that you designate in your city where people can buy an alcoholic beverage, let's say at a bar or at a brewery or at a restaurant, and then they can take that beverage in a disposable cup, and these cups, of course, are an official cup, so they're easily discernible by local law enforcement and others. People can take their alcoholic beverage out onto the sidewalk and potentially walk up and down the street or walk to Foundation Plaza or walk to the next business they might want to visit. These are becoming very popular around the state. I know at some of our council meetings we've talked about the fact that they have them, I believe, in Norwalk, Mount Vernon, Bucyrus, Crestline, Worcester. There's a number of other communities that are currently considering them. Columbus has them. And we have received a number of inquiries from people here in our community and businesses here in our community asking us to consider establishing a DORA. Basically, all that means is we would delineate an area downtown, most likely a portion of Main Street where our businesses and restaurants are, and then maybe a section of South Street and a section of 2nd Street where the wagon wheel is. And we would basically say that in this area, during special events, the city would be able to authorize people to be able to carry an alcoholic beverage to and from whatever's going on downtown. So if there's a festival going on, they could carry their alcoholic beverages within that perimeter only, and only at the times that the city approved. This is what we're looking at right now as a city council. I actually, at a recent meeting, presented an application for this process. And some people have asked me, now, Mayor, why would you have been the one to present that application? Well, actually, if you take a look at the Ohio Revised Code, it actually says that the chief executive of the municipal corporation must prepare and present an application to the legislative body. In this case, the chief executive of the municipal corporation is the mayor, and the legislative body is the city council. And so that is the reason why I was the one that brought the application forward. and hopefully sometime soon the city council then will determine whether or not they want to go forward with the creation of a DORA. So that is what that's all about.
Okay, and one other quick question before we get to the good stuff.
Yes.
The annexation.
Oh, yes.
Can we talk about that?
Yes, this is one that's kind of flown underneath the radar because for most people it's not going to impact them whatsoever. In fact, they're probably going to be shocked to know that we even have land out on the 250 corridor where Walmart is located and Chipotle and Ferrellgas and all those entities, McDonald's and the hotels are located. Believe it or not, some of that land and some of those parcels and those businesses are not in the city limits of Ashland. Now, that could be for a whole variety of reasons. Some might be that at the time those businesses came into effect, they were not contiguous to the city. In other words, those properties, when McDonald's built out by 250, that property was not contiguous to the city. It was too far from the city limits, so it could not be part of the city limits. Well, over the last year or so, we have worked hard to follow the proper procedures to get enough signatures of property owners out on that 250 corridor to annex up to 91 acres of land. And basically, if you try to imagine many of the properties that are on the north side of 250 out there, starting in the vicinity of Walmart, there's properties out there that are not in the city, but they are getting city water and sewer services. Now, they don't get that for nothing. By being outside of the city and getting that water and sewer services from the city, they are actually paying a premium. They're paying double what you and I pay when we live in the city of Ashland. But for those businesses, obviously, they want to be in the city limits. And now that we have extended our water and our sewer utilities under Interstate 71 to Grandpa's Cheese Barn and Perkins Restaurant and the gas stations out there, they want to annex. And so we have taken the first step to start that process. Right now, the next hearing will be at the County Commissioners meeting, I believe sometime in July. And if all goes well, soon that area will be in the city limits. Incidentally, another reason why that's so important, when our city police are called to an incident or make a traffic citation out on that corridor, it's often a hassle for our police officers to figure out whether or not they are in fact in the city limits or outside of the city limits. Because some of those parcels are in the city, some are out. And so when they're issuing a citation, they've got to figure out if they can issue a city citation or what they can do, because it all depends on whether they're actually in the city or outside of the city. And this will clean all that up and make it simpler for those folks when they're enforcing our local ordinances and laws.
Now to the good stuff.
Okay.
And like my son says, can you ask the mayor about
Yes.
the putt-putt golf?
Oh, yes.
You know, what's going on with putt-putt golf and Brookside?
Hard to believe, but summer is almost here. We just had the Ashland University commencement ceremony this past Saturday, and I just came from a board meeting where we're planning a high school graduation here in a few weeks. So this is what I'll tell you about Brookside Golf Course. We are planning to open the pool and putt-putt golf Memorial Day weekend. And this year, people are going to notice a number of wonderful improvements out at Brookside, not the least of which is the beautiful new fence around the outfield of the main softball diamond there, located next to the pool and playground. Also, we have been busy putting a new roof on our highly used pavilions. We're also going to be painting those this year. We also, believe it or not, have moved forward on purchasing a heating system for our swimming pool. This is so critical because for those that do get their membership passes to the pool, you know as well as I do, those first few months the water is frigid because it has no heating element whatsoever. Well, we're going to change that. And so hopefully by the time Memorial Day weekend rolls around and the pool opens, it's a pleasant temperature for all those folks that immediately want to hop in and do their big cannonballs. We also are planning to install a new slide or two at the pool, and we've got some other things planned for that area. Now, when it comes to the putt-putt, because I know your son loves the putt-putt, I actually did have a call from Don and Jean Myers, and they want to once again donate, I believe, up to 250 free rounds of putt-putt golf that opening weekend. So that's a wonderful gift. I believe it's the second or third time they've done that since I've been here. But you tell Jeremiah that there will be free rounds of golf starting Memorial Day weekend.
Well, we'll definitely be there. I can tell you that.
Good.
One last question, and kind of save the best for last. This was incredible. The theater.
Oh,
the whole
yes.
thing was incredible.
Yes.
I did several videos from there.
Yes.
What a huge turnout, and the questions I'm getting about it is now is it going back to? It's no longer a lottery
Grand
type
opening
thing.
weekend,
It's just going
exactly.
to be regular. You go up and buy your tickets.
Absolutely. So now it will operate just like a traditional chain movie theater, only it's a locally owned theater. And that's what I want to say first and foremost. Remember, every time you buy a concession at the Ashland Theater, every time you pay for a movie ticket at the Ashland Theater, you are investing in the ongoing operation of our very own local movie theater. Remember, it is a movie theater that has been paid for by our own residents, generous donors. It is governed, in other words, it is run by a board of our own peers, people that live here and love Ashland, and it is a nonprofit. We've just got to make enough money to keep the theater lights on, to keep the thing in good working condition, and to bring new movies and big musical acts to town. So when you buy those tickets, and our ticket price is very competitive at $8 a movie, and when you buy those concessions, and our candy is very affordable at $3, and our popcorn, I believe $3.50, I can't remember exactly what it was. Every time you visit our theater, you're helping continue our theater's operation here in this community. Now that the grand opening weekend is complete, anyone that wants to go online and buy a ticket can do so. You can visit, I believe it's theashland.org. I believe that's what the website is, theashland.org. And just like you could on a major movie chain website, you can pick the seat, you can pick the show time. You have to pay a service charge, a small fee, just like you do on all those chain theater websites. And you can get ready to go see your favorite movie. People have asked me what are some of the upcoming movies. Here in the near future, you will see Indiana Jones, I believe, The Little Mermaid. There's a work being done to get Fast and Furious, the new episode or the new sequel, into the theater. And there was one other one that I was thinking, and what is it? Can't think of it just now, but those are some good ones that'll be coming our way. Also, you're going to start seeing different times of day and different days of the week where we might show some oldies and goodies, oldies but goodie movies, famous titles from the past. And also you'll see different kinds of community events in that theater. So I'm very excited. That's just another thing we can check the box, because now we have a wonderful theater where people can see current entertainment here in our own city.
I'll tell you what, people were very happy to see that happen and
great.
Actually start. One last question on
Yes.
the theater. You said community events. You have any idea what kind of community event? Are they going to have like a concert? Or
Yeah,
are they gonna
absolutely. That is the plan, to bring in some big name musicians and bands. Also, the thought is that you could do a small theatrical performance if people wanted to, or bring in maybe a famous comedian. And the thought is that maybe we can find a movie where maybe we can grab a couple of the actors or actresses in that movie and bring them into town so that they could be there as the community watches the movie, and then afterwards take questions or talk with the audience about the filming of the movies. So we want to do some unique things like that will draw attention to our city, not just from our own residents, but from people all around the state of Ohio.
Matt, thank you so much for taking
No
the
problem.
time, and you definitely explained everything
Hey.
that I had questions on.
All right, and listen, before I go, I want to say a big thank you to all of our teachers in the city of Ashland, in the Ashland City Schools, the Ashland Christian School, St. Edward's School, but for all the teachers all around our great county. I want to say a great big thank you for all the work you do in our communities. You know, we talk a lot about making our community better, building a bright future for the city of Ashland. And the truth is, no one contributes to that more than our educators, our teachers that are in the classrooms that are help shaping the minds and the thoughts and the dreams and the ambitions and the inspirations of our young people. Because quite candidly, they are the ones that are going to determine what kind of city we have in the future. So thank you to all the great teachers we have watching us today.
Have a wonderful day, Matt.
Thank you.